Hi, my name is Lorelai Logan. I'm graduating from the Academy this year in 2021, and I will continue school at the University of Memphis, where I'll play soccer. I played on a club soccer team in which many of the girls were 2 years older than me, so I was exposed to the college recruitment process very young, around eighth grade. And playing club soccer, the routine is usually travel out of town for a big tournament in SoCal, Phoenix, Vegas, Colorado, Texas, etc. Email scouts that are set to be there and hope they see you play. So at the early ages of eighth and ninth grade especially, I would research colleges, and if I were relatively interested in their programs, or I saw one that was kind of high level, I would email those coaches. So I had long lists of, I don't know, 20 coaches that I would send these emails out to, and I had a standard resume, kind of talking about me and my soccer accolades and whatnot. And then for each of them, I would have a brief section about why I liked their program or why I might be interested in their particular college, something personal to not just send the exact same thing to everyone. And then another tip is to be really upfront in your email subjects. So in the subject line, you want to write your name. So I'd write like Lorelai Logan, class of 2021, goalkeeper, whatnot. And then at this point, I was still pretty young, so it was about being really open to my options and just kind of getting the word out there. And then obviously, it's super important to work hard so you can perform at the highest level in these tournaments and really showcase your skills. And so when traveling out of state, I would make sure to visit lots of colleges as well, even if I didn't think I would end up at that school. And what this does is it allows you to get a feel for what you're looking for, or maybe what you're not looking for in a school. So, for example, I spent a lot of time in California because that is where my club was based. And I visited 10, 12, maybe more colleges in different parts of California, Southern California, Northern, whatnot, and just kind of informal tours a lot of the times. And I also knew from an early age that I did not want to go to school in Cali for many reasons. I kind of wanted to go more on the South or East Coast, and so it was totally out of the picture early on. But so this could feel like kind of a drag having to go to 8 California colleges in a week with a lot of these older girls. And I was still young. I was in like eighth grade, so I was like, oh, why am I here? But what it did end up teaching me was that I wanted a big school that had major competitive sports, but not like in a huge city. I wanted trees, all of these other things that were really important that I wouldn't have really known about myself and my interest in a college unless I actually went there and experienced these different things. So you get to learn a lot. And even if you don't want to go to a school, you can see like, oh, well, maybe I like this aspect or maybe I don't like that aspect. So it's good to get comfortable with different types of campuses and just kind of see what's out there. And then freshman year, I was beginning to find more specific schools that I was really interested in. My parents went to U of A, so that was one that I thought I wanted to go to from a younger age, for example. And I began just communicating with a few different coaches. That summer, I went to some different ID camps at the schools that I was especially interested in. And this is super important, ID camps, in my opinion, for athletes because it allows you to feel out the coaches. So when you're going on campus visits, you never really get to see the coaches unless you're doing like a special tour. And when the coaches are coaching you, it's a special relationship that I think is super important for athletes. So there was one school in particular that was like my dream school for years, and I went to their camp and realized that I hated the coaches and I could not play for 4 years under these people. And I still tell people if I weren't going to compete in college, I probably would have gone there just because I like the school and I like the academics. But playing sports, there's this whole nother layer, extra part to the equation that you need to be really certain about because that's such an important part of being an athlete in college. So I ended up committing to Memphis at the beginning of my sophomore year after giving myself a long time to process their offer and feel comfortable with my decision. And it was hard. I was given this offer as a freshman, and so, gosh, you're like 14, 15. It's a lot to handle at that point. And make such a big decision. So I really let myself sit with that and explore all my options. I went to the Memphis ID camp. I exhausted that whole process until I was really comfortable with my decision, and my parents were on board and whatnot. So give yourself time to make sure you're comfortable with your decision. And then the most important thing for me was making sure I would be really happy and feel at home with the team and with the coaches, because I knew that the soccer team is where I will spend most of my time in college. And I also felt confident that the coaches would remain there for the course of my college years, which is something that's important. I know a lot of, players who commit to a program and they think they really like the coach and whatnot, and then, a year later the coach leaves and they have a new coach, and maybe the coach doesn't want them anymore and they have to decommit. They're asked not to actually go to that school, or they go to the program and it's not what they signed up for and they don't like it. So that was something that I wanted to be fairly certain about. And again, you never know, but my coaches, they had coached at the university for a long time, and they both have roots. They have family in Memphis. So that was something that I found pretty important. So I advise you to kind of think about these things and discuss with your parents about what's important for you in choosing a program. And it can really be different for various people, but just make sure you and your family are on board with the same things and you're pretty specific in what you're looking for, because that can just be helpful. Also, I was personally recruited from a tournament in which my team played pretty terribly. So I'm a goalkeeper, like I said, was kind of pushed to carry my team a little bit and come up with some big saves. And in the end, coaches don't really care if your team wins or loses, but they want to see you showcase your hard work, talent, attitude, and leadership. So try not to, care if you win or lose. Obviously, like, you're an athlete, but in terms of being scouted, they're not gonna. A coach isn't going to disregard you or not recruit you because of an outcome of a game. They're really looking for you, and especially if you're perhaps losing, showing that you're mentally resilient and you can still carry your team and be really positive and have good attitude is super important. And I've always been told also, like, when you're just in warm-up, like, sometimes that's when college coaches can see the most about you, because if you're don't have the best attitude as a player and you're kind of just like moping through warm-up, it tells a lot about you. So just kind of always be in the mindset that you're always under a microscope, somebody's always watching. Do your best, not just with like your talent, but also a lot of it is mental and character. So keep that in mind. And so although I was scouted at a tournament, I still found ID camps to be a really valuable experience. And I had several friends who actually committed at camps. And even I definitely learned so much about different programs from attending these places. So I would say, if you can, try to make good use of these opportunities. And another thing is, if you do go to ID camps, I would personally recommend you attend them at a school you're really interested in, and not waste your time and money on the ID camps that are like 20 coaches one day, that type of deal, because it's pretty rare in my experience to get a lot out of those. It's just too chaotic, not enough time, too many people. So all in all, I would say just generally, when you're beginning to look at colleges, go broad, be aggressive in emailing and calling these coaches, and also don't rule out schools too early, because you really don't know until you get an offer and you can fully research these schools. And then just be patient, keep working really hard in school and your athletics. I know so many athletes who have had to wait until the last minute to commit, but ended up playing at super high level competitive programs. And then also, coaches love to see high academic achieving students. So it's good for the school, it's good for the program, it displays you're a strong, hardworking character. So definitely keep up your grades, work hard in your classes and in your sport. And then to that note, a lot of money can be earned at many schools for your academic achievements. So this can open up opportunities tremendously. All right, thank y'all for your time. Keep working hard. Go Chargers.